Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about a brief description on crisis negotiation. First off, what is crisis negotiation? It's a technique for law enforcement to communicate with people who are threatening violence. This includes barricaded subjects, hostage takers, stalkers, threats, workplace violence, or persons threatening suicide. It's a transition of a hostage or a non-hostage critical incident from a state of crisis to a state of rationality, leading to the eventual peaceful or non-lethal resolution of the crisis situation. As you've probably noticed, we use the word crisis rather than hostage. There's a lot of confusion surrounding these terms, so let's explain the difference between a hostage and a non-hostage situation. The first situation is fueled with material, intangible reasons. The suspect needs the police or the authorities to meet certain demands like ransom, transportation, or money, and the hostage is used as leverage to obtain these things. Negotiators speaking with hostage takers use goal-oriented and rational conversation to negotiate the demands of the suspect. In hostage situations, harm can be caused because captives are used as things and are perceived as expendable. In a non-hostage situation, the person or persons being held captive are usually relatives or close friends, and the suspects are always in highly emotional states. This makes for very unstable conditions, and the negotiator must concentrate on using appropriate crisis intervention techniques to allow emotional ventilation. In these situations, harm can be caused because the suspects are so emotionally unstable that they make irrational and extreme decisions. In both these situations, tactical teams need to be ready to act and apprehend or terminate the suspect if the emotional state gets too unstable and there is an imminent threat to life. Today, crisis negotiation teams work to save the lives of all parties implicated, but this was not always the case. In the past, force was used to resolve hostage situations, so let's see how negotiation teams and the fight to save lives originated. A few older examples can help illustrate that kidnapping and hostage-taking is not something new. First, there's the famous case of Julius Caesar, who was kidnapped by pirates that demanded ransom. He told his captors that he would take his revenge. Once the ransom was paid out and that he was released, Caesar kept his word and returned to the island where he was held. He captured the captors, took back the ransom, and had his captors crucified. Another historic example, maybe a little closer to our time, is when Nazi Germany held captive 2 million French people to ensure that the remainder of France stayed obedient to the laws and orders given by Nazi Germany. Before the end of the 20th century, you didn't need to negotiate much if you had firepower, strong armies, or large political influence. The words of a 1970s SWAT officer nicely capture the thought process that was incarnated into intervention teams across the world. He said, "Why would I want to negotiate with the bad guy when he has 2 bullets headed to the head?" The historical turning point was without a doubt the murder of Israeli athletes during the 1972 Olympic Games in Munich, Germany. In total, 22 people were killed because of the use of tactical engagement rather than negotiation. Law enforcement agencies started to feel the pressure and the immediate necessity to create specialized negotiation personnel to defuse touchy situations. The first team to be created and deployed for operational use was the NYPD's Crisis Negotiation Team. The concept was later integrated by the FBI with their Crisis Negotiation Unit. They created a training program at the FBI Academy at Quantico, Virginia. Law enforcement agencies across the world would also simultaneously develop similar teams and units, all with the same purpose: saving lives. Many different models for negotiation exist, but they all have the same goals: establishing communication and developing rapport, contrary to popular belief, buying time, diffusing intense emotions, and gathering intelligence for further investigations. The number of steps to stop the crisis varies from one model to another, but they generally all come down to dealing with emotions, establishing communication, identifying the precipitating events, problem solving. All these together bring the negotiator to success. The most recent model that is applied in North America is the behavioral influence stairway model. Developed in the new millennia by Gregory M. Vici, an FBI psychologist, this intervention model shows the importance in relation building between the negotiator and the suspect. Active listening, empathy, rapport, influence, and behavioral change compose the 5-step model that the FBI and North American law enforcement use in crisis negotiation situations. Progression through these stages must occur in that order. When the negotiator proceeds from 1 to 5, he must succeed in maintaining the previous levels. Most persons in crisis want to be heard and understood. This stage attends to the suspect's needs and is crucial in developing a relationship that will lead to resolution. By paraphrasing, mirroring, and summarizing, the suspect feels like the negotiator is there to understand why he's in the situation. Naturally following active listening is empathy. Empathy is the vicarious experience of someone else's feeling. Simply said, it's putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Until now, the negotiator has been actively listening and showing empathy. This stage is characterized by increased trust and mutual affinity. Once rapport is developed, the person in crisis will be more open to listen to the options the negotiator has to offer. The fourth stage of the BISM is influence. This stage marks the establishment of a relationship between the suspect and the negotiator. Now the negotiator can give nonviolent and realistic options to end the intervention. The last and final stage is the behavioral change. Usually, this will only occur once the previous 4 stages have been successfully completed. If the negotiator omitted stages or moved too rapidly through them, he probably won't be able to obtain behavioral change. But if he did it right, success is almost guaranteed. In conclusion, crisis negotiation evolved from the use of force to peaceful resolution. Although it takes more time to defuse a situation, more lives are saved each and every day. In our daily and somewhat stressful lives, police officers have to encounter these crisis situations. Law enforcement agencies work very hard to ensure the safety of everyone involved, including the suspect. And let's not forget, lives that can be saved are worth working very hard to save. Thanks for listening.